this is going to be one of those stories that are going to surprise a lot of you. It's going to be one of those things that I want to kind of tell you guys about, because I started thinking about it recently, and I want to tell you guys a story. But the title is true. I never ever really wanted to be a mechanic. Like, that was not what I wanted to do with my life. What is up, YouTube? How's everybody out there doing today? I hope you guys are having a fabulous day. On this table, we have a beautiful rough country 3-inch lift kit that we're going to be installing on this truck here. Actually, by the time you're watching this video, the videos will already be made for this truck, and this truck will already be done. But yes, we're doing that, and we're also doing some nice rough country Nerf bars as well for this truck. This is a 2000 Chevy 2500 gas truck. It should be pretty freaking wicked when it's done, so stay tuned for those videos to be coming out. There should be probably 2 videos. I'll make 2 separate videos, you know, get done in a few hours and make 2 separate videos for you guys. There's good old Ghost right there, sitting in all of her glory. Love that car. Love it. Had some issues, needs a tissue. We're gonna fix it. We're gonna make things right with that car. And then obviously, as you guys know, I have my Duramax here. My good old 3500 dually Duramax with rough country 6-inch lift on it. Had this truck for 5 years now. 5 freaking years I've had this truck. So you know what, we're actually getting ready to head on out of here, and maybe what I'll do is I'll tell you the story on the way home. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. I'll tell you the story on the way home on why my plan was not to become a mechanic. My plan was something that you guys probably would never consider or never even think that I would consider being. But let me tell you the story, guys. I think you guys would enjoy it. Hopefully you guys can hear that. Might end up putting the windows up. That Duramax Tuner 67mm stealth turbo. The thing is freaking amazing. Amazing turbo. A serious discussion about my life and how it all went wrong. I wouldn't say it all went wrong, it kind of went right. So, I never wanted to be a mechanic. That was not my dream job. When you're in elementary school and the teacher asks you, hey, what is your dream job? What do you want to grow up to be? A lot of people say, oh, I want to be a firefighter, I want to be a police officer, I want to work, I don't know, for the government. Nobody says they want to work for the government. You know, a whole bunch of stuff like that. Or I want to work in a hospital, and I want to help people. Most of the time, kids will answer with the thing of, I want to help people. Well, when I was in elementary school, I did not 110% say I want to be a mechanic, but here I am being a mechanic. It has its good times, it has its bad times. Definitely can tell you that from lots of experience throughout the years of doing this, not only for myself but working for shops as well in the past. But you guys are probably like, Andy, what did you say? What did you want to be when you were a young kid? Well, I'm going to get there eventually, or I'm going to get there eventually. First, I have to lay the basis down of how I became a mechanic, basically, because I'm sure you guys are all very interested in hearing that story. So, like I said, I never wanted to be a mechanic. I never had any desire to work on cars. I did not grow up in a car family. I didn't even own a car, per se. And when I did own a car, which my very first car was a 1987 Celebrity, I had no idea about anything about it. I had no idea where to change the oil, how to change the oil, where to check the oil. I didn't even know it took oil. Had no freaking clue. And you gotta understand, I was 18 years old at the time, 17, 18, 19. I had no idea. This was before the Marine Corps. I had no idea what I was doing when it came to a car. No idea. And my cars that I had problems, and I didn't know how to fix them, and I never got them fixed. They broke, and they sat. And that's just the way of the world, you know? So I ended up joining the Marine Corps, and one of the first things I did, and this is how I got into the mechanics field, one of the very first things I did when I joined the Marine Corps was I took my ASVAB test. And to be honest with you, I didn't really try to take an ASVAB test. I pretty much, they sat me down at the desk with a whole bunch of other people, and I just didn't care. I might as well covered my eyes with a cloth and just started checking off marks and checking off boxes as I went, and didn't even care, because that's essentially what I ended up doing. I ended up just checking off boxes and not caring. So they gave me a couple options in the Marine Corps, and those options, obviously one of them being mechanics, was a cook. I could have been a cook in the Marine Corps. I could have been infantry, obviously, because, you know, it's the Marine Corps, everybody's infantry for the most part. I could have been bulk fuel, which means I would have been the guy dealing with fueling up trucks as they came through and stuff like that. Or I could have become a mechanic. And obviously, as you guys see, I chose mechanic. And here I've been ever since. I learned how to work on doing, you know, Humvees and 5 tons in the Marine Corps. They put me through schooling and boot camp and all that fun stuff. And then when I was out in the field, that's what I did in the Marine Corps. I worked on Humvees. I got certified in hazmat. So if there's ever a spill coming out of a Humvee, a leakage of some sort out in the desert of 29 Palms in California, or wherever I currently stationed at or was, I would be the guy that went out, assess the damage, and coordinate the proper you know, procedure to clean up the damage or the spill or whatever the case may be. Plus, on top of that, I test drove vehicles, Humvees, 5 tons, and diagnosed issues, transmission issues, engine issues, which back then were all diesel. So I have a little bit of 6.5 Detroit diesel experience in my background as well, which I did not enjoy, because, you know, it's a diesel, and everything about a diesel is greasy and nasty, except for Humvees, because they hardly ever moved anywhere. So I got a lot of experience, you know, obviously in the Marine Corps doing mechanics. And when I got out of the Marine Corps, I ended up working for, or when I got to the reserve side of the house, because I was on the reserves, I ended up working for a door company for a couple months. And then I finally got a job working for a transmission shop, where I stayed for almost 8 years, helping to build transmissions and pulling transmissions out, putting transmissions in vehicles, namely minivans. I was extremely fast at doing minivans, faster than you could ever imagine pulling a minivan tranny out. I could literally have a town and country transmission out in probably a half an hour, and till this day I can still tell you every single bolt and every placement of that bolt on a A604 or 413 minivan transmissions from the late 80s all the way up to 2002, 2003, and if not even further into 2004. So I got very familiar with those. And learning how to, you know, deal with those transmissions. Then after that, I worked for a couple other transmission companies, and then worked for a restoration company that did restoration on old European vehicles, and like Dino Ferraris and really old, expensive European cars. Let's put it that way. Worked for that company for a while, doing a whole bunch of different odd and ed stuff, which was a very fun company to work for, but it didn't last very long. And then obviously I got into my own business doing performance work, and I kind of was just thrown into it, to be honest. I never meant to, I never wanted to do it full time, to be honest. It was not a dream job for me to do full time. I didn't want to be a mechanic. I didn't want to be a performance mechanic. I wanted to do it as fun, and I ended up falling into it. And I'm going to give you a very heartfelt reason why I ended up falling into it. Because raising my kids, my 2 boys, Zach and Sky, when they were younger, it was, you know, really difficult for me to, you know, be able to find a job or something that would allow me to leave at certain times to pick my kids up from school or pick them up from the babysitter and so on and so forth. And I, you know, lived by myself. I didn't really have any girlfriend or any other, you know, help at the time. And I kind of just had to do what I had to do. and I started working for myself, which gave me the ability to leave whenever I wanted and come back whenever I wanted, still be able to afford me the time to spend with my kids, and you know, to raise Zach and Sky and stuff like that, spend time with them. You know, if there's a day I was like, you know what, you know, one of them's sick, I gotta stay home, I didn't have to worry about calling my boss up and being like, hey boss, I can't, you know, I can't come into work today because my kid's sick and he's 4 years old and he can't go to school or go to daycare, and risk getting fired. Basically, I just was like, I'm just not going to go into work today. I'll have to push off whatever I was going to do today and tomorrow. Before I even had a shop, I worked out of my garage in the middle of the night till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and then get up and go to my regular job from, you know, 6:30 to 2:30 in the afternoon, which was a weird schedule. And then I come back home and start working out of my garage again, doing cam swaps and training builds and all kinds of, you know, crazy shit. As you know, I didn't get a lot of sleep at all. Not a lot at all. But here I am, being a mechanic. Something I never dreamt I would do and truly never thought I would be doing. But it's made a decent life for me, and I can't complain, you know what I mean? But now I'm going to tell you guys, I'm going to let you know what my dream job really was. This is what I want to be when I grew up. And a lot of you out there might laugh and be like, what the hell? You totally left fielded this by being a mechanic. But my dream job was to be an archaeologist. I wanted to be an archaeologist. And the reason, the biggest reason, understandably so, once you hear why I wanted to be an archaeologist, was because I was 100% in love with the movies, Indiana Jones movies that were out at the time, the Temple of Doom and the Last Crusades, and you know, all those movies that they had, Raiders of the Lost Ark. I love those movies, and it was so cool seeing Harrison Ford go to different countries and doing all this research and find out all these secrets and doing all this really cool, awesome, like heroic stuff. But the crazy part about it, it wasn't like a Marvel movie where you had, you know, Tony Stark being Iron Man and being like, I want to be Iron Man when I grow up, you know, because that was, with Harrison Ford and the Raiders of the Lost Ark and stuff like that, that was obtainable to a point. It almost seemed realistic. Like you could go to these crazy Amazon forests and run around with Aborigines and, or, you know, whatever, and do all this crazy shit in Egypt and all this other crazy crap, and just live this exciting, nutsy life being an archaeologist. It almost seemed like it was an obtainable dream and something real that you could actually do, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to be an archaeologist. Now, being an older, you know, guy, obviously, I understand it's probably not as exciting as that, being an archaeologist in real life. If there's any archaeologists obviously watching this video, they can obviously chime in below in the comments and let me know if it is that exciting or not. But, you know, from what I see from documentaries, you know, dinosaur bone hunting and stuff like that, it just doesn't look too exciting of a job to have. Though I still kind of wish I would have become an archaeologist when I was younger, and I wish I would have went to school and followed that path in my life, because I still do think, even though it might not have been that exciting of a job to have, possibly, and I could be wrong, so excuse me any offended archaeologists that are out there, I think I'd still enjoy it. I think I still would have had a great time doing it. I think it would have still been fun and adventurous, going and seeing other countries and stuff like that. So, but yeah, that was it, guys. I wanted to be an archaeologist when I was a kid, not a mechanic. And that's basically my little background story on how I became a mechanic and why I'm in this field. Essentially, it was basically because the Marine Corps is why I'm in this field. And it was a good path. I can't lie, it was a decent path. Like I said, definitely has had its ups and downs, but I'm appreciative of that because you know, I've learned a lot from it. But yeah, I wanted to be an archaeologist, guys. That's what was my dream job. But there you have it. End of story. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Instagram, Diablo Formula Racing. and deuces, guys.